Hi, I'm Dave Boyt with the Potter Shop, Hollow Tree Farm, and Portable Sawmill. And I've got Norwood's new HD38 Max built and set up, ready to roll. I've done a few test cuts on it, and it works flawlessly. This is for a friend of mine who is a gunsmith, and he wants some gun stock material. So he asked me to cut some quarter sawn sycamore, 4 inches thick and 10 inches wide. So I've got a fair-sized sycamore log here set up on the mill. It's about 26 inches diameter at the small end, about 32 at the big end. And it's jobs like this that convinced me that I needed to move up to the 38 Max, because it has about 14-inch depth of cut as opposed to about 8 inches on the other models of the Norwood. And this will allow me to get the quarter sawn lumber that I want out of this log with the least amount of effort and the least amount of waste. So this is the small end of the log, about 26 inches in diameter. I have it up on the tow roller to kind of level it as much as I can. And everything is going to reference off of the center of the log. Okay? So, and I don't want to get the center as a tip. So we are going to stay, outside of this area right here. I'm going to attempt to get a 4x10 here, 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 and here. So ignore that. The center of the growth rings is off center of the log. So that means it's not going to come out as well as I had hoped. I'll get my 4x10 here, and I'll get a 4x10 here. But I'm not going to get a 4x10 here. I can get a 4x8, and I can get a 4x8 here. So I'll make my first cut off the top. Then I'm going to come down here, way down here, and make this cut. And I can do that with the design of this sawmill, which is just wonderful. It's going to be a huge benefit to me. So I can make this cut, then this cut. Get all of this off the mill and turn it sideways, cut this piece out, put this on, and cut the fifth out of that. So that's what my cutting plan is. Then I've got these pieces that I can come back in and I can quarter saw them and make smaller 1x quarter sawn sycamores. So that's the plan. We'll see if we can make it happen. Alright, so here's what we've got. Sycamore is notorious for a condition called ring shake, and that's where basically the wood splits right along the growth ring. You see it takes that curve, and you can also see it goes back into the wood quite a ways. You wouldn't want to spend hundreds of hours on a gun only to have the gun stock split on you. That's why I'm cutting this the way I am and getting rid of this part of the log that's most prone to that. So that's part of knowing the wood and knowing the customer and trying to get them what they need for what they're building. And I want to get the center of the log level. So this puts the center of the log at about 16 inches. Narrow end, it's about 14 and a half. So it needs to come up about 1.5 inches. So this is that quarter sawn sycamore, also known for good reason as American lacewood. And with this beautiful grain, it's no wonder that woodworkers just go crazy for it. Well, in addition to the 4 gun stocks that I had originally wanted out of this vlog, I managed to get about 90 board feet of quarter sawn sycamore, 4/4. So in addition, I got 4 of these pretty good sized cookies. They could be end tables, coffee tables, that sort of thing, or a giant lazy Susan. And these might even become targets for tomahawk throwing competitions. Who knows? So I hope that gives you some ideas as far as the sawmill and some of its capabilities. Love to see what you're up to and some of the creative ways that you're putting your mill to use. And maybe put your own YouTube channel out there or comment on this one or some other sawmill. That's great. We're all going to learn from each other. Until our next video, I'm Dave Boyt, Potter Shop Hollow Tree Farm and Portable Sawmill. Stay safe, keep making sawdust.